Today we're at the Village Centre in East Kilbride. It's our annual Early Years Conference, which is organised and coordinated by Integrating Children's Services. We've got about 50-50 split between parents and practitioners at today's event. We are hoping to communicate to both about the importance of the early years in building resilient and confident and happy young children. Children growing up in society in this day and age are very much influenced by the impact of media, advertising, consumerism, over-consumerism. And what we're trying to get across at the conference today is key messages about how we can try and reduce that and try to get parents to actually play and interact with their children more rather than relying on technology.
Attachment is essentially the bond between a child and parents or primary caregivers, and it's within that, having a close relationship with parents or caregivers, that a child feels safe. From that position of safety, a lot of other things, and those interactions, a lot of other things develop in a child. And what we now know, and this is only very recently, that the human brain does not develop without a relationship, without interactions. And with the more time spent in front of screens, in front of TV, computer games, there's less time for interactions. So I think that the key message I want to get across is that the early years are very, very important, not for learning to read, not for learning to count, that might come along, but from learning those basic social skills, and they are only learned in relationship with other people, and you don't learn them from being in front of a screen.
There's an American psychologist called Daniel Anderson who's gave a really quite scary quote. He said, we're engaged in a vast, uncontrolled experiment with our babies and young children, plunging them into environments saturated with electronic media. And the most recent statistics are showing that kids are spending between 4 and 5 hours a day on screen-based entertainment, mostly sedentary and mostly solitary. So they're not getting what they need for health or development. And as more and more children get iPads and iPhones and so on, it's going to get more and more, unless we start recognising that unless kids get a proper childhood, these machines will control them.
21st Century Families was formed about 2 years ago following a conference which was organised with the Homeschool Partnership. Sue Palmer spoke at that conference, and really the words that she came out with resonated with a lot of the people in the room.
In a Western world, we have a government who is reminding us as parents that we have to play with our children, talk to our children and read. That is how far back we have gone. We are having to be reminded of basic parental skills that are fundamental to the development of the children in the 21st century.
What we'd like to achieve from today is to leave really with more people knowing about 21st century families, and I noticed there was a few health professionals as well in the room, so that's another angle, really to try and reach out to a whole host of other groups and other practitioners to get out there and spread the word. So really we want to take the message and move forward with it.
Our kids' lives, they have more value to us than they are to commercial interests.
What I'll be talking about today is the increasing pressure on children, really, to become sexualised at an age and a stage much more in advance of where they actually are, age stage appropriate. And it's really trying to highlight to people how much the link between consumerism and capitalism and advertising is pushing and driving our kids towards being mini consumers and almost consuming themselves. If we now have 4-year-olds talking about wanting to be sexy, it's how the trappings of being an adult have moved their way gradually further and further down in terms of child. They're mimicking adult behaviours without understanding what any of that means and how that can put them at risk in the future as well.
Anybody like to take a guess what age she is? 6.
I think events like today are really important because it's about getting the word out and getting people to start to discuss and think about these issues. And I think that events like today can give people a sense of power, that actually they can do something to change it. And I think what's been happening in Lanarkshire with the 21st century families, it shows that whenever parents and practitioners get information, they can work together in partnership to really start pushing the boundaries back and reclaiming parenting and childhood for families, not for advertisers, retailers and marketers.